my friend. Welcome back here to Seed and Sparrow Homestead. I'm Kelsey and we're gonna be back in the kitchen. Today I've got a harvest that is in dire need of preserving. It has been sitting in my fridge for far too long. I've been putting it off. I've just been wanting to do other things and I need to get back on track here. Life happened too, but it needs attention today and probably tomorrow. I don't think I'm gonna get it all done today. So we're working with some Edgewarsky peppers, my red peppers. I've got a batch of those to work with. I have close to a bushel of peaches I need to preserve. We have beets that I harvested a little while ago that are sitting in the fridge. What else do I have? There might be some other things I'm forgetting. I have tons and tons of tomatoes that I've just been freezing, so at some point we need to get to that too. Maybe not in this video, but needless to say, I've got a lot to catch up on. So let's do it together. Let's get some stuff preserved for winter. So I think I have a game plan now. When I looked through my canning books, I looked in my pantry to make sure I actually needed some more of the things I was thinking of making. I do that sometimes and I have like a ton that I just end up giving away, which is fine, but I want to be a bit more intentional about what I'm using this stuff for. So I've got peppers roasting. We're gonna make a sauce out of them. My favorite way to use peppers. It's really versatile. And got a pot here of boiling water. We need to get some peaches peeled. So I'm just gonna submerge them in some boiling water for like 45, 60 seconds until the skin starts to peel away, and I'll put them in an ice bath, wait for them to cool, and then peel them. So right now I'm just working on some prep work. Okay, we're gonna start with our first recipe. So we're in the all new ball book of canning and preserving again. It's on page 173, this fiery peach salsa. I don't make it fiery because I'm a wimp. So I am substituting, it calls for jalapenos and a habanero. I am using all jalapenos. Peppers are interchangeable. That doesn't matter. So because I'm a wimp, I'm just choosing jalapenos. So I'm gonna double everything again. I will tell you the amounts for a single batch. This is like my most favorite salsa. It's a tomato-less salsa, so if you're not a fan of tomatoes, you will love this as long as you like peaches. But I like to put this on tacos, of course, on our nachos, with chips. I like it in chili just mixed in. It's really great on top of fish. I love salmon, so if I can find some like wild caught salmon fillets, it's super good on top of there. It's good to like cook pork in, so very versatile. First, some peeled, diced peaches. You want to choose really firm, almost underripe peaches so they hold their shape in this recipe. So I've got 6 cups. In this little colorful smorgasbord here, I have 3 jalapenos, so you would want to use 2 jalapenos and a habanero, really any combination of small peppers like that. Then I've got 1 cup of diced red bell pepper, a ½ cup of diced red onion, and 2 garlic cloves minced. Quarter cup fresh squeezed lime juice. We need a cup of sugar. One cup apple cider vinegar, make sure it's 5% acidity. ½ cup of water, quarter teaspoon salt. Let's get this over to the stove. Turn this up to high heat. We're gonna bring this to a boil, and then we'll allow it to simmer for about 5 minutes. Gonna move on to our next recipe, this peach ale mustard. It's on page 194. We love it. I've made it quite a few times. I'm running low, only have 2 jars left. So the first step is taking some peaches, halving them, laying them on a baking sheet, cut side up, and we're going to bake them for about 30 minutes at 425 degrees. I'm just gonna have them, get this pit out. Okay, peaches are ready to go. You need about 2.5 pounds. This was about 10 small peaches. Salsa simmered for 5 minutes, so I removed it from the heat. Now I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of cilantro. That's all the ingredients, so now we can get it into our jars. I've got 1/2 pint jars here, little jelly jars. We're gonna fill these to a 1/2 inch of headspace. These guys process in a water bath canner at a full rolling boil for 10 minutes. Okay, we're on to the roasted red pepper sauce. So I have my peppers here out of the oven. I did peel off the skin. That's just my preference. You don't have to. I just like the texture better when they're off. And once you roast them, it comes off really easily. So I'm gonna put that in here. And then another main ingredient is some toasted walnuts. Now per batch, I do 6 red peppers roasted. I'm doubling everything, but 6 red peppers for 1 batch, and then a 1/2 cup of toasted walnuts. We're gonna do some tomato paste per batch, 2 heaping tablespoons of paste. Some garlic cloves, 2 per batch. I'm just gonna empty this jar out here. Then we're gonna add about 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt per batch. And then we need some red wine vinegar, about 2 tablespoons per batch. Up next is some raw honey, again 2 tablespoons. About a teaspoon of paprika. And a 1/2 cup of olive oil. Okay, that's everything. We're just gonna blend this up. Decided I want to put a little bit of onion powder in it. Thought it needed that, but you can really just do this to taste. Super yummy sauce. Now, this is not a canning recipe. It is not canning safe. I'm going to be freezing this. So I like to use this in a variety of different ways. One of my favorite ways is in place of pizza sauce for a bit of an elevated pizza. We like to do pizza nights here, so that comes in handy. I also love it on pasta in place of pasta sauce. It just adds a totally different flavor to that, jazzes it up a bit. For a really quick meal, sometimes I'll pick up the Kirkland brand tortellini or ravioli at Costco, and then I'll throw that on top and throw in some like chicken sausage, really quick meal. I've also used it on some garlic bread, spread that on, and then throw some sort of cheese on top, stick it underneath the broiler. That's really yummy. So you can get really creative with it. It's very versatile. So I'm just gonna stick it in some mason jars. Whenever you're freezing, the best jars to use are the one with the straight edge, not the one with the shoulder. They just hold up better in the freezer. I've used the ones with the shoulder before, but I've noticed on occasion they will crack on me, even if I leave room for that expansion. You always have to leave room for expansion in the freezer. So I'm just gonna get these filled up probably right below the lowest rim here. And then these last in the freezer for like 6 months, although they never last that long because we eat them before that happens. So here it is, all jarred up. Now it doesn't make a whole lot. That gave me, now I made a double batch, but that gave me 4 of these guys and 1 of these. It's pretty concentrated. Think of it as like pesto sauce. It is kind of like a pesto sauce. But you could stretch it if you wanted to. I haven't tried, but I was thinking about doing like a cream sauce with this, just adding in some heavy cream for pasta. You could probably just mix this in with like a jar of regular home canned pasta sauce just to stretch this a little bit and then like elevate that sauce. It's good stuff. Okay, 2 recipes down. We're gonna work on the 3rd. These are the roasted peaches for the peach ale mustard we're gonna make. Now, these roasted for about 30 minutes. They've cooled down, so I'm just gonna start removing the peels from these. Peaches are peeled. So now we're gonna throw some ingredients into this Dutch oven here. Peaches are going in. We're gonna add some balsamic vinegar. Now this recipe calls for white balsamic vinegar. I have had no success looking for that. I only can find the regular stuff. It does need to be balsamic vinegar. You need it to be 6%. So I'm just gonna use that. I did double check and make sure that it's safe. It's totally fine to swap those two. It's just the end product is gonna be a bit darker, obviously. So as long as you don't mind that it's darker, then you can just use regular balsamic like I am. So we have our 2.5 pounds of peaches halved and peeled after they've been roasted in here. I have 2/3 cup balsamic vinegar. Now we need a 1/2 cup maple syrup. That in here, and goes the maple syrup. And then we need a 1/2 cup of dry mustard. That's going in. And we also need 2 tablespoons of brown mustard seeds. Okay, and then we need some salt. Where have I put you, salt? 1 teaspoon. And we also need some ale, some beer. Now, I don't believe this beer is able to be substituted or omitted. So if you don't like or don't want to use beer, this recipe may not be for you. So this is a pounder, so I need to get 12 ounces. Hubby gets the rest. Now this recipe does take a bit more time, not hands-on time, but it's going to chill in the fridge overnight. So we're gonna take this over to the stovetop, we're gonna bring it to a boil and then allow it to simmer for 10 minutes. We're gonna let it cool completely and then we're gonna put it in the fridge. It needs to chill overnight and then we'll continue this process tomorrow, but we'll move on to another recipe. I found another recipe I wanna do. This is one I have not tried before, but I have seen it going around and everyone seems to love it. They rave over it. It's still in the same ball book. It's page 121. Sweet tea, poached peaches. Sounds delicious. I still have quite a few peaches left here. I have been freeze drying them like nonstop. I think I've freeze dried close to a bushel. I have gallons and gallons, but I think what I want to do, I have a few diced peaches left over from the salsa. I diced up too many. I think I'm gonna cut up a few more and use that for some peach jam from Preserving Pomona's Pectin, or Preserving with Pomona's Pectin. It's a maple vanilla peach jam, which I thought sounded lovely. So I'm gonna do that. We're gonna do this sweet tea poached peaches. I think I'm gonna do a double batch. I still have quite a few peaches here, and then whatever is left over, I'm just gonna end up peeling and slicing to put in the freeze dryer. So the first thing here with this sweet tea poached peaches, we need to get some tea bags brewing. So for one recipe, it is 4 regular size tea bags. It says you can use whichever flavors you want. I have some peach tea here, so I'm just going to use that. But it also suggests jasmine or Earl Grey. You can switch this up a little bit here. So I'm going to get this brewing. It needs to brew in 3.5 cups of water. After the tea had brewed for about 15 minutes, I removed it from the heat, and then I took out the tea bags. Added some sweetener. I did 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of honey. You do have the option to use all honey if that is preferred, and then 3 tablespoons of bottled lemon juice. I went ahead and I peeled, cut all of my peaches in half, pitted them, and then you have the option to either keep them halved or to quarter them. I chose to quarter them. If you're having them, it says to put them cavity side down, and then we just ladle in our sweet tea mixture to 1/2 inch headspace. Make sure to debubble these well, adjust headspace if needed, throw some lids and some bands on. These process in a water bath canner at a full rolling boil for 25 minutes. Moving on to the maple vanilla peach jam from Pomona's Pectin.
you need 4 cups of mashed peaches. That equals out to about 3¼ pounds of fully ripe peaches. You want them very ripe so that they can be easily mashed. Then we add a 1/4 cup of bottled lemon juice, 4 teaspoons of calcium water from the Pomona's pectin little pouch, and 1 vanilla bean halved and scraped out, adding everything in. Stir this well, get it over to the stovetop. We need to bring it up to a boil. Once it gets there, I had another mixture ready to go. It was a 3/4 cup of maple syrup combined with 3 teaspoons of Pomona's pectin powder. Slowly stir this into the peach mixture, and you want to continually stir until it all comes back up to a boil. Then you want to stir for about a minute and then remove it from the heat. After removing the vanilla bean pod, we can get these into some jelly jars. I used 8-ounce jars. These get filled to a 1/4 inch of headspace, processed in a water bath canner at a full rolling boil for 10 minutes.
It's the next morning. We're gonna work on this peach ale mustard that's been sitting in the fridge overnight. Now that everything's all mingled together, we are gonna run this through the food processor. So we bring this mixture back up to a boil here before filling our jars. So I like using 2 different sizes here. The recipe calls for this one. You can always choose a smaller jar. So I'm going to do the 8-ounce and the 4-ounce. With this mustard, we like using it at times just as a condiment, so we need a little bit, so this is nice for that. We like it on sandwiches. We like it to use as a dip for like homemade soft pretzels or even hard pretzels from the store. I also like to use it on chicken, pork, on fish as well, and I will even use this as a salad dressing base. These jars get filled to a 1/4 inch headspace and processed in the water bath canner for 10 minutes.
As always, friend, you can find all of today's recipes down in the description written out for you. If you have any questions, though, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I would love to hear from you. Thanks for hanging out as I continue to put up more food for winter. Keep filling those pantries, friends. You have a blessed week, and I will see you next time. Take care.